Right now, as you're watching this video, your home is probably wasting money. The radiator heating a room that nobody's in, the TV sat there on standby, and the games console in the kids' bedroom endlessly looping around the high score screen whilst they're out with their friends. These devices are all wasting energy around the clock, and the worst thing is most people have no idea how much that's actually costing them because their home has no way of telling them. Well, what if it could? What if your home could see where you are, heat only the rooms you're actually using, and track what's using all your electricity, effectively just managing itself? That's exactly what I'm going to show you today, and the whole thing is built around 4 devices that just work together. Hey everyone, my name's Simon and welcome to Bite of Geek, a channel that's all about home assistant and smart home technology. So a big thank you to Aqara for sending me out some of their products to test and set up at home. As always, they've had no editorial input into this video and you'll get my honest thoughts and opinions about them. Now, when Aqara sent out these products, I didn't know whether to do separate reviews of them or just to demonstrate how you could put them all together in your home to help you save some money. And after using them for a few weeks, that's the approach I've taken with this video. Because whilst they're great products by themselves, it's only really when you put them together that you start to see the real benefits. So let me quickly introduce what we're looking at today. First, we've got the Aqara Hub M200, and this is the central controller for all of these devices. It's a relatively small hockey puck sized hub that you can wall or ceiling mount or just stick on a tabletop. Next, we've got the Aqara Presence Sensor FP2, and this is a millimeter wave presence sensor which enables us to do lots of clever things with devices and appliances in our smart home, but I'll talk more about this in just a moment. Then we've got the Aqara Wall Outlet H2, and this is a UK smart outlet with power monitoring and a built-in USB-C port. If you've got standard sockets in your home and you're plugging smart plugs into them, then these make a nice upgrade and look a lot better than having those bulky plugs hanging out of them. Finally, we have the Aqara Radiator Thermostat W600, which allows you to upgrade your normal radiator TRV with a smart version, giving you the ability to control the temperature automatically on a room-by-room basis. If you haven't switched to a smart heating system yet, then you'll be amazed what you can do with this kind of technology and the savings you could make. All these products work well on their own, but when you put them together, you can really start to create something exciting for your smart home. Okay, let's start with the Hub M200 then, because all the devices I've just mentioned run through this. So setup is straightforward, and just like all these devices, you add it into the Aqara app following the simple instructions and it's up and running very quickly. One thing to highlight here is that this hub has a PoE support, and if you've got a compatible network switch nearby, then you can just run an Ethernet cable to this and it will just keep it all nice and tidy. The Hub M200 has both Matter and Thread support, so it can act as a Thread border router, and it also supports Zigbee devices as well. This is an important point to mention, especially if you're wanting to migrate your smart home over to something like Thread, but we'll talk more about that in just a moment. As it supports Matter, everything it controls is compatible with Apple Home, Google Home, Amazon Alexa and Home Assistant. So whatever ecosystem you're using, or even if you're mixing a few of them like a lot of people do, then this should fit right in. It also has an IR blaster, and I haven't touched on this yet, but it's worth a mention because if you've got an older air conditioning unit or a device that only works with a remote control, you can potentially bring that into your smart home through this hub, making that a nice little bonus. Now, if you've already been using smart home devices for a while, chances are you'll have used a PIR motion sensor at some point in time. They're fine for a lot of things, and I still use them around my house, but the fact that they can only detect motion does limit them a little. The Aqara Presence Sensor FP2 is just one of the presence sensors that Aqara has in its product lineup. This is a wired device, and unlike the other products in this video, this communicates over Wi-Fi. The FP2 uses millimeter wave radar, which means it can detect the tiny, subtle movements in a room, such as breathing or movements you make when you're seated on a sofa, so it knows you're still there even when you're barely moving. This is extremely important because when your home knows when someone is genuinely in a room, it can make much smarter decisions. Heating that only runs when people are there, or lights that don't turn off on you whilst you're reading a book. And when you do leave a room, then everything just turns off automatically. The FP2 also supports multiple detection zones within the same sensor, so you can carve up a room into different areas and set different automations for each one. In a living room, for example, you could have one zone for when someone entered the room and another for when someone is sat on the sofa, and trigger different things for each of them. I set this up in my living room, and when I walk into it, the FP2 picks me up, and when I sit down at the sofa to watch the TV, then it knows exactly where I am. Everything works as it should do, and when I leave the room, then after a while everything gets turned off. This level of control allows you to create some impressive automations and really makes it feel like your smart home is working around you. So you've got your FP2 sensor telling you where people are in the house. The next thing is having something to act on that, and this is where the W600 radiator thermostat comes in. This is a dual protocol device, so it'll work with Matter over Thread or Zigbee networks, but you can only use one at a time. However, if you use it in Zigbee mode, then you'll get some extra features such as window open detection, which will turn off the valve to stop you wasting money whilst you're heating a room. Now, I already use a smart heating system, but I was keen to find out how well these smart TRVs from Aqara worked. If you've never used one of these before, they're so easy to get set up. This W600 comes with a range of adapters for your radiator, so you just unscrew your existing TRV, find the appropriate one in the pack, and then screw the new TRV back on. For my radiator, this just screwed straight on without an adapter once the old TRV was removed. It's so simple to do, no plumbers required, and once you've done that, you can then just add it to the Aqara app and be up and running in minutes. What this then gives you is per room heating control. So now instead of heating the whole house, you can heat the rooms that matter the most. You can have a higher temperature in the lounge of an evening whilst you're watching TV, with the heating turned off completely in your home office. And if someone likes their bedroom a little cooler, then you can automate it so that the temperature reduces as it gets closer to bedtime. What's really surprised me about these smart thermostats is just how quiet they are. My current ones are relatively quiet, but these ones from Aqara are almost silent, so they're great for fitting in bedrooms. I've fitted this W600 thermostat to a radiator in my lounge, and beforehand with a non-smart TRV, I used to have it set fairly high with the heating coming on at various times during the day, and if I was upstairs working or out of the house, then that room kept being heated regardless. When you combine the W600 radiator thermostat with the FP2 sensor, now you can have the room heat only when presence is detected. This isn't a nice to have. This actually makes a difference in how much you're spending in heating your home. In the UK, with where energy prices have been over the last few years, that change is not just a trivial saving, especially when you fit these across your whole house. Now, sometimes with smart radiator thermostats, you can experience overshooting the desired temperature before it decides to shut off. And you can also have problems because the thermostat is right next to the radiator, which in a lot of cases will be warmer than the rest of the room. A nice touch with this W600 is that you can connect it to something like a simple and cheap Aqara temperature sensor placed elsewhere in the room, and therefore you get a more accurate reading. Whilst I had it set up, I found that the W600 was reading 1.5 degrees higher, which is very similar to my existing smart home heating system. Except with this thermostat, you can adjust the temperature by adding or reducing it to compensate for the difference, something I can't easily do with my current system. Of course, you've got your usual features like smart schedules, manual control, and away mode, which is great to protect your pipes from freezing when nobody's in the house. Now, the wall outlet H2 is one of those devices that starts you on a path of energy saving and finding out what the big power consumers are in your home. It's a dual UK smart socket with real-time power monitoring built in. And for you, well, that means that whatever you've got plugged into it, you can find out exactly how much electricity it's drawing there and then, as well as over time. Not only that, but you've then got the smart ability to be able to turn a socket off when it's not required. No more having to reach behind cabinets or behind the sofa to switch things off. Just go into the app and press a button, or ask your smart speaker, or even set up an automation to do it for you. With this wired up, I went around the house checking out various devices, and here's what I found in my living room. So my main television, well, that's in standby most of the day, and in standby it's consuming about 11 watts. Other entertainment devices like my soundbar, Blu-ray player and cable box will also be in standby at the same time, and together they're consuming just over 8 watts. So overall, to have these just sit there doing nothing, they're all consuming about 20 watts of power every day. So to put that in perspective, over a year at my current electricity rate, that's costing over £30. You might not think that's much, but when you start adding in all the other devices you likely have on standby, then it soon starts to add up. And this is what people talk about when they mention vampire power or standby drain. We're all aware it's consuming some power, but we have no idea how much that it's costing us until you see the figures right in front of you. With the H2 socket, you get that visibility, and with that kind of information, you can then act upon it with either automations to cut the power to devices that have been idle for an amount of time, or cutting power to devices as part of your home's nighttime shutdown routine. The other really nice thing with this socket is that it has a smart controlled USB-C port as well. So now if you want to charge something like your mobile phone, you don't end up taking up a socket with your power adapter just to charge. And by using automations, you can ensure you're not overcharging the battery as well. Like with the radiator thermostat, the wall outlet H2 offers Zigbee and Matter over Thread connectivity. And again, with Zigbee, you're going to get a slightly better feature set. All the key functionality is there with Thread, but if things like a child lock or an indicator light setting are important to you, then Zigbee is the better protocol to use here. I've been using these devices for a while now, so let's look at how these 4 devices have been working together in a typical day in my home. In the morning, I come downstairs and the FP2 in the living room detects my presence. The wall socket H2 automatically turns the socket on, and my TV and cable box now go into standby, ready to be switched on. The W600 thermostat kicks in and starts heating the room to my desired temperature, and this is all done via the M200 hub to ensure quick and seamless communication between the devices. When I've had my morning coffee and I go up to my office, the FP2 knows I'm no longer in the living room, and the radiator thermostat and power sockets all switch off. Now, if I had a similar setup in my office, then when I'm in that room, I could have the same kind of automations taking place in there as well. So at lunch, I pop out of the house to get something to eat, and with geofencing, the hub knows nobody's home. Therefore, it turns off the W600 thermostats across the house, and those devices on the H2 outlets that have been idle then get switched off as well. And when I get back home, everything fires back up again depending on which rooms I'm using. That's a smart home that's actually doing something useful, not just turning lights on or off, but managing your energy consumption around your home and saving you money at the same time. All of these automations are very easy to set up in the Aqara app. It has lots of different ways to trigger an automation, with each device having multiple conditions and actions that you can link together or between devices, allowing you to make something as simple or as complicated as you need. Now, if you're using Home Assistant, and I imagine a fair number of you watching this do, then all 4 of these products integrate with it through the Aqara integration or individually via whichever protocol you choose to use. You can pull all this data into your energy dashboard, build more complex automations, and combine these devices with the rest of your smart home setup. So I know some of you will be thinking, this all sounds great in theory, but does it make a difference? And really, that is very much going to depend upon your current starting point. If you've already got a well-optimized home with good habits around heating and power consumption, then the gains are obviously going to be smaller. But if you're like most people and you've got your heating on a set schedule, your TRVs are all set to max, and you're in the habit of just leaving things left on standby because it's a pain to go round and turn them all off, then there's a real opportunity for you here. In the UK, the average household spends over £800 a year on gas heating alone, significantly more in larger homes. And when global events put pressure on fuel prices, then these costs increase even further. So reducing the amount of time you're heating rooms when there's nobody in them, even by 20 or 30%, starts to make a difference over the course of the year. Standby power will obviously vary according to your home, but on average it accounts for somewhere between 9 and 16% of electricity use, or to put it in money terms, anything between £65 and £100 a year. These aren't trivial amounts, and having something like the H2 socket installed makes this very visible and something that you can act upon. It's difficult to give you a specific saving figure because every home is different, and of course there's always going to be a period of payback for the devices. But what I will say is that in just a few weeks of using these devices, they really have given me more visibility into what's going on in my home, and the automations I've set up are taking care of those mundane tasks that I probably would have just left alone. So is this the right setup for you? Well, if you're already into smart home technology and want to take the next step in making it do something useful rather than simply turning the lights on or off, then yes, I think this is a great combination of products that over time will help you save money. The W600 radiator thermostat is excellent value for what it does, especially if you've got several rooms in your house that aren't occupied all the time. It's simple to install and extremely quiet in use. The value in the H2 wall socket is really the information that it surfaces about the devices in your home. I recently did a video on the channel about the energy consumption you couldn't account for, the ghost power consumers, and fitting sockets like this are certainly going to help track that down. Both the H2 wall socket and the W600 radiator thermostat are very good devices that work extremely well. It's nice that they've got multiple protocol support, but it's a real shame that there's a difference in functionality depending on which one you choose. That comes down to what the protocol supports, and does highlight that Matter still has a way to go before we can retire our Zigbee devices. With the FP2, you're getting something that really enables you to create something amazing in your smart home. No more reaching for a mobile to turn on a device or shouting at your smart speaker to turn off the lights. These actions become seamless as you move around your house. Some may well point to the fact that the FP2 uses Wi-Fi for communication, which seems odd given that Aqara has traditionally released Zigbee devices. However, there are many reasons for this, a lot of which is due to the rich area mapping control and the continuous radar streams that it processes. And the Hub M200, which ties all these together with its PoE, IR blaster and multi-protocol support. It's a hub designed for a modern smart home and enables you to have an ecosystem that's compatible with Apple Home, Google Home, Amazon Alexa and Home Assistant. So whatever you're currently using, you should be able to add these in without starting from scratch. If you want to pick up any of these devices for your smart home, then I'll put links in the description below. Alternatively, you can just scan this QR code on the screen and it'll take you to my website where you can see these, as well as all the other smart home products that I use. But that's it. Just some ways in which these 4 devices can make your home smarter and hopefully save you some money in the process. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, then I'd appreciate a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more content like this. But as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.